Most people don't lose respect in one big moment. They lose it slowly, in 100 small ways. They don't even notice. One day, you realize something. People reply to your messages when they feel like it. People cancel on you without guilt. People talk to you only when they need something. You feel it in your gut. You're not someone they quietly respect. You're someone they quietly use. That's the dark side of today's world. Everyone talks about kindness, empathy, positivity, but underneath it all, it's a brutal power game. The loud ones perform. The fake confident ones pose online. The soft ones get drained. And the people who truly hold power, they rarely shout, they rarely explain, they never beg, they move differently. Machiavelli understood this centuries before social media, before fake self-love quotes, before "just be nice and everything will work out." He saw what most people still refuse to accept. He saw the brutal truth about how humans actually work. Here it is. Humans respect what can walk away. Humans respect what has options. Humans respect what does not need their approval. If people feel you need them more than they need you, you will always be adjusting, chasing, apologizing, and explaining. You will always be weak, but there's another path. In this video, I'm giving you 9 ruthless tricks to make people respect you quietly, not by screaming, not by flexing, not by acting tough, not through violence or aggression. These tricks are inspired by Machiavelli's cold, brutal understanding of human nature. We will talk about how to use distance as power, how to control what people think they know about you, how to create an invisible line others are afraid to cross, how to build an aura that says, "I am calm, but I am not soft." If you use these tricks correctly, people won't always like you, but they will feel you. They will sense that with you, there are limits, and limits create respect. Before we start, I want you to flip a switch in your mind. Drop this in the comments. I am done being soft. Let's begin. Number 1. Control your availability like a king, not a servant. Respect begins to die the moment people feel they can reach you, use you, and pull you into their plans whenever they want. Think about it. When you are always ready, always flexible, always adjusting to fit into other people's schedules, you slowly stop being seen as a strong individual. Instead, you become background support. You become the person they call when they need something, not the person they value. A king is not available on demand. A servant is. Your goal is simple. You must stop moving like a servant in your own life. Machiavelli understood something that most people miss. He understood that power is not only in what you say. Power is in how difficult it is to claim your time and energy. When someone feels you will always accommodate them, they learn a dangerous lesson. They learn that you need them more than they need you. Once that idea forms in their mind, your respect starts to shrink. They may still smile at you, they may still talk politely, but deep down they do not fear losing access to you. And without that subtle fear of loss, respect cannot fully exist. This is the brutal truth most people never understand. Controlling your availability does not mean being rude. It doesn't mean being difficult or unreasonable. It means being deliberate, strategic, intentional. You do not jump into every situation just because someone calls your name. You do not accept every invitation just because it is offered. You do not rearrange your priorities every time someone else is uncomfortable. That's servant behavior. A king moves according to his own plan. Others must fit into it, not the other way around. When you decide where your time goes, something shifts. Your presence starts to feel heavier, more substantial. People notice that you do not appear everywhere. They notice that when you give attention, it is selective, not desperate. They notice that you are not easily pulled or rushed. This creates quiet pressure. People begin to ask themselves, is this worth bothering them for? Is this important enough? Will they even care? That little hesitation, that self-doubt in their mind, that's where respect is born. Machiavelli would say that men hesitate to offend those who are not easily reached. When you're not instantly available, people become more careful. They speak with more intention. They think twice before wasting your energy. They understand that if they are careless with you, you can step back without noise or explanation. That possibility alone changes their behavior. You don't need dramatic speeches about boundaries. You don't need to argue or justify your standards. You simply respond slower. You commit less. You choose with more thought. You train people by your patterns, not by your words. Instead of texting back immediately, wait. Not days, just enough to show that you're not sitting around waiting for their messages. Make them feel the weight of your time. Instead of saying yes to every invitation, start saying no, politely but firmly. I have other plans. You don't owe them an explanation. Instead of calling people to check on them, let them come to you sometimes. Let them feel what it's like when you're not there. Over time, people realize you are not a tool to be grabbed. You are a presence to be requested, and sometimes a presence that can be refused. When you do show up, when you do give your time, when you do help someone, it means something. It carries weight. They feel lucky to have it. They don't take it for granted because they know it's not guaranteed. From now on, move like a king, calm, controlled, selectively available. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose where my time goes. Number 2, use controlled silence as a weapon. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill every gap with words, explanations, jokes, nervous laughter. They think that talking more makes them likable, convincing, safe. They are wrong. Talking too much makes you predictable, readable, easy to handle. When your mouth moves faster than your mind, you give away your power for free. Machiavelli knew this. He understood that restraint creates an aura that pure talk can never match. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a test. When you hold back your words, you give people space to reveal themselves. They fill the silence. They overshare. They justify. They confess. They expose what they truly think. They reveal their insecurity, their motives, their desperation to be accepted. All you did was say less. Yet suddenly you know more about them than they know about you. That imbalance is pure leverage. Think about the most intimidating people you've met. Were they the ones talking constantly? Or were they the ones who said very little but made every word count? The silent ones. Always the silent ones. When people are unsure what you're thinking, they become cautious. They hesitate to provoke you. They try to guess your opinion instead of attacking it. That uncertainty is a quiet shield around you. Using controlled silence means you do not rush to respond the moment someone finishes talking. You pause. You think. You let their words hang in the air. That small delay makes them feel your presence more intensely than constant chatter ever could. It sends a signal. You are not operating emotionally. You are calculating. People respect what feels calculated, even if they cannot explain why. When someone challenges you, silence can be sharper than instant defense. Instead of arguing, you look, you breathe, you wait. That pause makes the other person feel the weight of what they said. Many times they will soften it, rephrase it, or backtrack on their own. Why? Because they feel pressure. You did not give them the easy release of a quick reaction. You held the space. That is dominance without volume. Controlled silence also protects your dignity. When you're angry, insulted, or triggered, speaking too fast almost always leads to regret. Regret is weakness, but when you train yourself to go quiet in those moments, you keep your position. You show that your emotions do not drag you around. The less you react, the more people sense that there are depths inside you they cannot easily reach. That mystery becomes respect. Here's something Machiavelli would stand by. Those who reveal less are handled less. The more people know about your thoughts, fears, and limits, the easier it is to push you, The less you expose, the harder it is to move you. Silence is not emptiness. It is a closed door that others are forced to knock on instead of walking through. You are not cold, you are controlled. You do not speak to fill space. You speak to create impact. Every word must feel chosen. When you practice this, you'll notice something. People will start to feel anxious around you, not afraid, but uncertain. They won't know if you're pleased, displeased, angry, or amused. That uncertainty keeps them on their toes. Some will try to fill the silence with more talking. Let them. Observe, listen, learn. Every word they say reveals more about them. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is power. Number 3, create an invisible line others are afraid to cross. Respect is not created by being nice. Respect is created by having a line that is not written, not shouted, not announced, but clearly felt. Most people never form this line. They allow teasing that cuts too deep, criticism that goes too far, behavior that slowly erodes their dignity. They laugh along. They pretend it does not sting. Then they wonder why no one takes their feelings seriously. Here's why. When there is no line, there is no risk in offending you. And when there is no risk, there is no respect. Machiavelli understood that every powerful figure carries an unspoken boundary around them. People may relax around them. They may talk, even joke. But there is always a certain edge they do not touch. They sense that crossing that point changes everything. That awareness is not built through speeches. It is built through reactions, cold, consistent reactions. This is the ruthless trick. You form that invisible edge. You decide what is unacceptable for you. Mockery, passive disrespect, public humiliation, certain tones, certain jokes, certain behavior. You decide. Once that is clear in your own mind, you no longer ignore it when it happens. You do not laugh it off. You do not stay quiet and burn inside. You do not debate with long emotional explanations. You send one clear signal. This path is closed. When someone steps over that line even slightly, you respond with calm withdrawal. Your face changes, your energy tightens. Your words become short, controlled, direct. You may say very little, but the atmosphere shifts. You stop rewarding their behavior with attention, warmth, engagement. You detach. Not later, not tomorrow, in that moment. You show without yelling that something changed. Machiavelli would argue that people learn from consequences, not from lectures. If there is no consequence for crossing you, they will continue. If they can insult you and still keep the same access, the same closeness, the same comfort, then your so-called limits are just noise. But when their behavior is followed by a visible change, less closeness, less trust, less access, they feel the cost. That cost builds caution. Caution builds respect. Your line must be quiet but firm. You are not dramatic. You are not begging for fairness. You are not trying to teach them a lesson with emotional scenes. You are simply changing your level of openness. You decide who receives your softness and who only gets your surface. The person who crossed the line feels the difference even if you say almost nothing. Over time, people around you begin to sense something. They sense that you are not someone they can casually disrespect. They may tease others harshly, but with you, they adjust. They may talk recklessly with everyone else, but around you, they choose their words. They know that one misstep can close a door they cannot easily reopen. That tension is exactly what you want. You are no longer trying to be endlessly understanding. You are building a field around yourself, a field where casual disrespect cannot stay. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my boundaries. Number 4, reveal less, observe more. Most people make themselves easy to handle because they reveal too much too soon to too many. They talk about their fears, their dreams, their problems, their plans, their weaknesses, their history, often to people who have not earned that level of access. It feels like openness, it feels like connection, but in the wrong hands, it becomes a map that shows exactly where to press, where to flatter, where to manipulate, where to hurt. Machiavelli understood something crucial. Information is a weapon. Whoever knows more about the other side has the advantage. If people know exactly what triggers you, what you crave, what you cannot stand losing, they can move you like a piece on a board. They know which buttons to push to get what they want. In that situation, respect fades because you are no longer mysterious. You are fully exposed. This is the ruthless trick. Turn that around. Stop being an open book. Become a controlled version of yourself. Not fake, not cold, simply selective. You choose carefully what parts of your mind and story you place in front of others. You allow people to see fragments, never the full picture. You give small pieces, never the whole pattern. When someone asks questions, you respond without rushing. You answer just enough to be polite, just enough to keep the interaction smooth, but not enough to hand them your inner world. You leave spaces unfilled. You give short, calm answers where others overshare. Instead of explaining every feeling, you stand on them quietly. Instead of describing every struggle, you let your strength in the present speak louder than your past. Machiavelli would stand by this principle. A wise person listens more than they speak. When you reveal less, you are able to observe more. While others keep talking, you watch. You notice how they treat people weaker than them, how they speak when they are angry, how they act when there is nothing to gain. You notice patterns they do not know exist. You see, that knowledge turns you from a player who reacts into a strategist who understands. The less you expose, the harder it becomes to attack you. Insults feel weaker because they are based on guesswork, not truth. Manipulation attempts fail because people cannot locate your real pressure points. They may label you hard to read, but that is the goal. Things that are easy to read are easy to control. Things that are hard to read are approached with care. This does not mean you never share anything. It means you share slowly, step by step, measuring how people handle small pieces of trust before giving more. If someone laughs at your small vulnerability, they never receive a deeper one. If someone respects what little you reveal, they may earn another layer. You are no longer giving full access by default. Over time, people sense something about you. You see more than you say. You notice more than you comment on. You are present but not exposed. That quiet depth becomes a source of respect, because others feel you are not easily moved, not easily fooled, not easily broken. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I reveal strategically. Number 5. Stay calm when others expect you to break. One of the fastest ways to lose respect is to react exactly how people expect when you are tested. Most people crack under pressure. They raise their voice. They rush their words. They defend themselves aggressively. They explain too much. Or they emotionally collapse when criticized, rejected, or embarrassed. In those moments, something dangerous happens. Everyone around them realizes how easy it is to shake them. Once people see how quickly you lose control, they never truly see you as powerful again. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Control over others begins with control over oneself. A person who cannot govern their own emotions will always be governed by the situation. When every insult, every slight, every challenge pulls you into a storm, you show that your inner state belongs to whoever provokes you. That is the opposite of power. Respect is drawn to the person whose mood is not pushed around like dust in the wind. This ruthless trick is about becoming emotionally steady when tension rises. You may feel anger inside, humiliation, disappointment, frustration, but you do not let those feelings instantly shape your outward behavior. You slow down your breathing. You steady your gaze. You let your thoughts settle before you answer. You become the still point while everything else is moving. That stillness is not weakness. It is discipline. When someone attempts to provoke you, they are secretly hoping for a scene. They want you to argue, to overreact, to look unstable, because that justifies their disrespect and entertains everyone watching. If you give them that reaction, they win twice. Once by getting under your skin, and again by showing others that you are easy to unbalance. If you instead respond with measured words and composed energy, their attempt becomes obvious. They appear smaller. You appear larger without even raising your tone. Machiavelli would support this idea. A leader must be like a fortress in conflict, not a field that changes with every gust of wind. People judge you most harshly in moments of stress. They remember how you handled tension, not how you behaved when everything was smooth. When they see that your posture, expression, and voice remain steady, even when events turn hostile, something shifts inside them. They may disagree with you, they may not like you, but they cannot deny that you have presence. Staying calm does not mean accepting disrespect. It means you do not respond on instinct. You make decisions instead of reactions. You choose whether to answer, how to answer, or whether the situation even deserves your energy. You refuse to let anger speak for you. You let reason guide your next move. That difference between impulse and intention is what separates the easily controlled from the quietly commanding. Over time, people become careful about confronting you, not because you scream, but because you do not crack. You become associated with stability. Others unconsciously look to you when situations become tense, because they sense that you do not drown in emotion. Deep respect always moves toward the one who remains standing when everyone else is shaking. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am emotionally unshakable. Number 6. Speak with intention, not volume. Most people confuse speaking loudly with being noticed. They think the one who dominates conversation is the one who commands respect. They do not realize that constant noise dilutes influence. When words are thrown freely, they lose weight. People stop listening because nothing feels meaningful anymore. Machiavelli understood that attention is earned through precision, not quantity. The person who speaks deliberately is far more feared, admired, and respected than the one who fills space with empty sound. This trick is about choosing every word as if it were currency. You do not speak to fill silence or to prove your presence. You speak to create impact. Each phrase, each sentence, each point carries a purpose. When you speak, it is measured, deliberate, clearly directed toward your objective. People sense immediately that your attention and energy are not wasted on trivialities. That alone shifts the balance of power. When you communicate with intention, your voice becomes a tool, not just noise. People lean in naturally to understand what you are saying. They stop multitasking mentally while you talk. They focus on your energy, your tone, your meaning. This is because your words are scarce. Scarcity always amplifies value. In contrast, those who ramble, over-explain, speak without purpose, they give others freedom to ignore them, to misinterpret them, to take them lightly. Machiavelli would argue that authority is amplified when people are never quite sure what the next word will be, but they know it will matter. Speaking with intention allows you to shape perception without forcing it. People do not just hear you, they feel the weight of your thinking, the precision behind your conclusions, the confidence that underpins your presence. Even disagreement becomes respectful because others recognize that your position is deliberate, not reactionary. To apply this, think before every statement. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Does this strengthen my presence? Does this create clarity or influence? If the answer is no, remain silent. Let the silence speak for you. Let others fill it with uncertainty, curiosity, even anxiety about what you are thinking. That unspoken tension puts you in control, even when you are not actively dominating the conversation. Over time, people begin to treat your words differently. A single statement can shift perspectives, influence decisions, stop challenges before they start. People pause before interrupting. They weigh your input more heavily. They realize that interacting with you is a conscious choice, not a casual exchange. You are no longer a participant in endless chatter. You are a presence. You are calculated, precise, undeniably influential. Every word now has invisible weight. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My words are currency. Number 7. Make decisions slowly. Execute swiftly. One of the fastest ways to lose authority is to act impulsively. People who rush into choices reveal their uncertainty. They give the impression that their judgment is unstable, inconsistent, reactive. When decisions feel hasty, others sense that nothing is calculated. Without calculation, influence evaporates. Machiavelli understood that patience and timing are the hidden engines of power. Those who appear to consider carefully before acting and then execute decisively command attention and respect automatically. This trick is about creating a rhythm of thought and action that others cannot predict. When faced with a situation, you do not reveal your immediate reaction. You observe. You weigh options. You imagine potential outcomes. That delay is not hesitation. It is strategy. People notice your composure. They sense that you are assessing more than they can perceive. That subtle awareness shifts the dynamic. They begin to assume that any misstep against you could carry unseen consequences. Once your mind has settled, execution must be fast and precise. The contrast between deliberate thought and sudden action creates a sense of control. People notice the efficiency of your movement and the clarity of your choice. The delay in decision builds tension. The suddenness of action releases it, leaving observers impressed and cautious. Machiavelli emphasized that leaders who master timing can influence situations before others even realize what is happening. Those who act immediately without calculation hand that power away. Slow decision-making also allows you to gauge loyalty, intentions, and reliability in those around you. As you analyze, you observe reactions. You read patterns. You gather unspoken information. You notice who pressures you, who pretends to agree, who reacts genuinely. These insights are invisible to the casual eye, but they inform every strategic move you make. People may think you are simply slow to respond, but in reality, you are assessing, calculating, preparing your advantage. The execution phase is equally critical. Once the decision is made, you act with clarity, authority, and speed. You do not hesitate. You do not qualify excessively. You do not over-explain. The sharpness of your execution reinforces the respect built during the assessment phase. Others feel your competence as an invisible force they cannot ignore. The blend of patience and decisiveness is magnetic even when unspoken. Machiavelli would argue that power thrives in the combination of perception and action. By appearing thoughtful and deliberate, you command psychological influence. By acting suddenly and confidently, you assert tangible control. This duality forces others to approach you cautiously and respect your judgment instinctively. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I decide thoughtfully, act decisively. Number 8. Let actions speak louder than words. Words are easy. Anyone can claim authority, strength, competence. Anyone can promise, boast, lecture. But in reality, people are influenced by what you do, not what you say. Actions reveal true priorities, intentions, and character. Most people fail to realize that their deeds communicate far more than their explanations ever could. Machiavelli understood that reputation is built on visible results, not endless declarations. The individual whose behavior consistently aligns with their standards earns quiet respect that words alone cannot produce. This trick is about turning consistent execution into an invisible signal of power. You focus on outcomes instead of announcements. You let your accomplishments, your boundaries, your routines, your composure communicate your authority. When you align your behavior with your values and enforce them silently, you establish a presence that others cannot ignore. Actions are tangible. They are observed. They leave no room for argument. They remove doubt. When you consistently demonstrate competence and follow through, people stop testing you. They begin to anticipate your behavior based on results, not assumptions. They notice patterns. When you commit, you deliver. When you set limits, they hold. That reliability builds respect naturally because others understand that you are not reactive or performative. You are deliberate and capable. Silence becomes powerful when paired with visible consistency. Machiavelli emphasized that perception is crucial in leadership and influence. People judge others largely by what they see happening, not by what they are told. Even if someone talks confidently, their credibility disappears if their actions contradict their words. Conversely, someone who quietly accomplishes objectives commands attention without needing to declare it. They become a reference point. Others subconsciously adjust their behavior, knowing that outcomes follow your decisions, not their opinions. The key is to avoid unnecessary explanations. Do not justify your approach. Defend your choices or narrate your achievements. Let people observe and draw their conclusions. Avoid overpromising or making declarations that are hard to fulfill. Instead, focus on doing. Let every consistent act, no matter how small, reinforce your authority. The accumulation of results communicates competence, confidence, and control far more convincingly than any speech. Actions also protect you from manipulation. When people can judge you based on what you do rather than what you say, they cannot easily misinterpret or misrepresent you. They see tangible proof of your principles and priorities. That clarity breeds caution and respect, because others know that your behavior cannot be swayed by words alone. It is measured, deliberate, enduring. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My actions are louder than words. Number 9, make your presence felt without trying. The most powerful individuals do not need to announce themselves. They do not demand attention. They do not shout authority or force recognition. Yet when they enter a room or a situation, something shifts. People notice without knowing why. Chairs feel heavier. Conversations pause. Eyes subtly turn. This is not magic. This is mastery over presence. Machiavelli understood that influence is as much about perception as it is about action. The one who can make others feel their presence without effort controls the room silently, invisibly, and permanently. This trick is about moving through life with energy that naturally draws attention without performing or exaggerating. You stop trying to impress, to entertain, to dominate with words or gestures. Instead, you cultivate an internal gravity that others sense instinctively. You maintain posture, composure, consistency in thought and behavior. You occupy your own space fully, neither shrinking nor overextending. This unshakable equilibrium sends a silent signal. You are confident, competent, untouchable. People unconsciously mirror energy. When someone exudes quiet power, others adjust. They approach more cautiously. They speak more thoughtfully. They listen more attentively. The room begins to move around the force of your presence, even if you are not actively interacting. Machiavelli would argue that control is often won before a single word is spoken simply by the weight of one's being. Those who try too hard dilute this effect. Only those who cultivate calm authority can make presence itself a tool. Developing this silent magnetism requires awareness of yourself and your surroundings. You observe without being distracted. You respond without being reactive. You act when necessary and remain still when action is premature. You do not seek validation from anyone. Others' attempts to pull at your attention, to provoke reactions, to impress upon you their significance. They fail because your focus resides in a centered internal authority. That stability is contagious and commands respect automatically. Presence also means being deliberate in movement and attention. You do not rush, fidget, or scatter energy. Every step, every glance, every gesture communicates control. The absence of noise becomes meaningful. The pause between words becomes loaded with authority. People do not just hear or see you, they sense you. And in human dynamics, perception often outweighs reality. If they feel your weight, they behave differently around you. That is the quiet power of being truly present. Over time, people come to recognize that you are not easily manipulated, not easily impressed, not easily moved. They instinctively respect the space you occupy. They approach with caution, offer trust selectively, hesitate before testing your boundaries. Your influence becomes an invisible force, shaping interactions without a single argument, speech, or demand. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am quietly powerful. You have just learned 9 ruthless tricks to earn respect quietly, not through shouting, not through forcing attention, not through endless explanations. Each trick builds on the last, forming a system of presence, control, and authority that others cannot ignore. From controlling your availability to cultivating silence, from protecting your boundaries to letting actions speak louder than words. Every step creates a person who commands influence without needing to demand it. Respect in today's world is rare because most people give it away without understanding its value. They react instead of reflecting, speak instead of observing, bend instead of standing firm. You have now learned how to reverse that pattern. By controlling your energy, your time, your words, your presence, you establish a magnetic force that draws attention naturally. People adjust their behavior to your rhythm without realizing it. They respect what they cannot predict, cannot manipulate, cannot take for granted. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Real authority is invisible, subtle, deliberate. The loudest person is rarely the most powerful. The most feared and respected are those who move with calculated calm, think before acting, communicate with precision. You now have the tools to become that person, quiet, measured, deliberate, but undeniably present. These strategies are not about intimidation for its own sake. They are about creating a reality where others treat you as someone whose energy, decisions, and presence matter. It is about earning the respect that is silently recognized, consistently felt, rarely challenged. Use them wisely, internalize them, let them guide your interactions until they become instinctive. If you are ready to take control of your life and be respected in ways that cannot be taken lightly, remember to practice, observe, refine. These principles are powerful only when lived. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am quietly untouchable. Now go forward. Command without noise. Influence without explanation. Respect will follow naturally. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Dark Psychology Files for more content that reveals what most people refuse to see.